I like to start this day by saying, Leapetike washte I chichapelo naha chante washte napechius papelo. I offer you this day and I greet each and every one of you with a good heart and a handshake. And I would like to begin by introducing myself as an elder. I'm 73 years old, and I consider myself a very highly functional elderly in that I am healthy. Um, I have no diabetes, no high blood pressure, no cancers. Um, I fully expect to live another 25, 30 years if I can. And I still have 20/20 vision, although I have to rely on reading glasses when I'm up close like this. Also, as an elder, I care for five grandchildren, and that probably in itself keeps me young to keep up with them. I am from Standing Rock, and Standing Rock is rather unique in that we're located on the border of North and South Dakota, Sioux County, North Dakota, and Corson County, South Dakota, and we're on the west side of the Missouri, and we are among five, uh, four reservations on the North Dakota side. You have Turtle Mountains, you have Spirit Lake, Standing Rock. Over to the west, you have Trenton and a small portion of Siston on the North Dakota side. Um, it's good and bad in the sense that we're isolated, and with this whole issue of COVID, that has tended to keep our numbers low. And we're so isolated. I always tell people that even a coyote would be lonely out here. Um, we are isolated in that for a lot of our health care, we have to drive 85 miles north to Bismarck or 65 miles south to Mobridge. And our reservation population is a little over 9,000. We have probably an equal number that are living in urban areas across the country. Um, Personally, I had the experience of being a world traveler before I came home to settle down. My background is that of a paramedic. I got my training in Los Angeles, California, and I put it to good use over the years. And that caused me to work for Standing Rock Sioux Tribe for 35 years before retiring. I was also a founding member of the tribal elder protection team. And between 85 and 90, we actually eliminated physical elder abuse. And I used to be security for some of our community powwows in the summer. So we were deputized by tribal court. So I used that to make citizens arrests and get everybody before our tribal court. And by 1990, we practically eliminated all kinds of actual physical abuse. As I said, I'm retired, but I'm still quite active in tribal and community affairs. I consider myself a cultural broker in that I am a designated Nacha or a chief. I'm also what they call a Wakichunze, which is an advisor to our Sundance ceremonies and to other ceremonies that we go to, and to meetings around the community. I like to reminisce about our tribal history and our traditions. I'm a language warrior, I guess, and I like to tell stories, and those stories have to do with putting our people back, put reality back into our existence, and to increase our longevity. Knowing that we are a part of all that exists. We are spiritual people, and we are now beginning to tell our tribal history from our point of view. And we have a lot of young individuals that are involved with that, and that includes my daughter, and I saw my niece Tasha on the participation here. I'm also a member of our Elder Preservation Council here on Standing Rock, in that we are involved in tribal spiritual matters, social matters, and of lately with the Dakota Access Pipeline, and negotiations with the Army Corps of Engineers and the like. I was raised by my grandparents, who taught me what Lakota traditions that I know now. So much so that in 1963, I guess my grandparents were outlaws, in that they were still practicing our traditions. And that was 15 years before the Religious Freedom Act was passed in 1978. But prior to that time, we were still doing. They were the ones that helped me with my vision quest, and those traditions are still quite active here on Standing Rock. And I come away with the idea that in Lakota it says "Lala na unchi unkitkapi, o hini awanglaka," meaning that our grandparents will always take care of us. Not so much providing food or clothing or whatever have you, but they're there to guide us. And I find that that's come 360 degrees here, where as an elder, I am doing the same for my grandchildren, my nieces, my nephews, and other adults here on Standing Rock. Over the years, we have people study us and write about us, and tell us that we have historical trauma and intergenerational grief. And for the most part, I guess it is true. On my part, I don't really agree with intergenerational grief, or rather, I didn't go through that. Our history is such that my grandmother, my father's mother, was 9 years old when they killed Sitting Bull. And she's also a survivor of Carlisle. As a young lady, she went to Carlisle, Pennsylvania for school. And she would tell us about all that she witnessed, and she would cry, and she would tell some more after a while, and then she'd cry. So basically, she healed herself, and she did not pass that grief on to us. But we have a very good recollection of our tribal and family history. So when you get to the part where you know what matters, I can say um, um, I matter. You know, my family matters. My extended family matters. My community matters. Even my tribe matters, and we'll go from there. Um, we were talking about age-friendly health in uh, here in North Dakota or on Standing Rock. Uh, it's kind of disconcerting at this point where um, instead of dealing with Standing Rock as a nation, um, at one time, North Dakota used to recognize all of Standing Rock, even the South Dakota portion. But South Dakota would not recognize the North Dakota portion. But those are changing today now. So the states that we deal with consider Standing Rock as a whole in dealing with this. To start with, I talked about age-friendly business, age-friendly communications. The last time I was in the clinic here at Fort Yates, there was a poster of a very handsome Indian lady on the poster, and that was a thing in the past. We had all these posters with these non-Indian, non-tribal people on there, and none of our people could really identify with that. But the poster was the lady on there, and they talked about age-friendly health. And so that's changing. You know, your posters and all your ad campaigns, there's an Indian face on there. So our people will take notice and participate. The part that we need to think about is recognizing and accepting our cultural beliefs, and to communicate. You know, years ago, growing up in Little Eagle, South Dakota, I remember they would have clinic in the community. And once a month, two station wagons used to come down. One was the pharmacist with all his medication, and the other one was the doctors and the nurses that would come to have clinic there and to examine those that needed help. But for the most part, I always like to say that we were at one time a very healthy nation. We had people that lived well into their 90s. My own grandparents, my mother's side, my father's side, lived well into their 90s, and I fully expect to follow them. So I'm going to be here for a while. But our people never went to the clinics for any kind of medical business. It was a good opportunity to visit. We all didn't live in a community setting at that time. Everybody lived out on their individual homesteads, and it was an occasion to get the opportunity to visit. So when clinic day would come down, everybody would pack lunches, and they'd come and they'd visit. And if they had to see the doctor, so be it. But communication was the best time for those. There was also a time when we were still Lakota. We still had our language, and we still had our traditions. and that's how we communicated. And for those of you that are in the mental health business out there, um, we still talked with animals, and we still talk with insects. We still believe that we, as life, we communicate with each other, and that's kind of one area where a lot of our people just don't understand. I mean, the health purveyors out there, the mental health people, really don't understand that we still have people that have that ability, and you may not think it's true today, but it's still possible. And for the most part, that's what keeps us sane, I believe. We we have animals. I have horses that we can communicate with, and all the birds that fly around our house. And again, when I talk about those things, our own people here will understand that, but those outside think that maybe you're having, schizophrenic problems or whatever. So we need to think about those. When we talk about impediments to providing age-friendly health services, we need to have a change in approaches to dealing with natives as people. We need to change our expertise, I guess, in a sense. We need to have those Western medicine individuals and facilities to recognize and utilize traditional healers, and to assist doctors. But a lot of times that doesn't happen. And it would be nice if the doctors would work with our traditional healers for the betterment of that particular individual. A lot of the doctors would say, well, why would I talk to a traditional healer when they have absolutely no medical experience? And with HIPAA laws, I really shouldn't share anything about the patient. But, if they work together for that individual, maybe the traditional healer would help suggest that they do take certain medicine that they don't have as herbs, or, you need to go in and have this kind of surgery and what, and thereby helping the doctor work for the betterment of that patient. But we don't have that. I do know that in years past, and probably still today, Indian Health Service had what they called an unfunded line item for traditional medicine. And the same thing, what are your credentials as a traditional healer and to work alongside with Western medicine? Well, that needs to be worked out. And I do understand, and I do know that, for example, the Navajo Nation, Indian Health Service in that part of the country, in Arizona and New Mexico, they do work closely with traditional healers. In our own area, White Earth Reservation in Minnesota, they have an office for traditional healers to work alongside with doctors. And so much so that today I understand that Belcourt has mobile clinics that will go out to their communities to to I guess increase the access to their people. Um, Pine Ridge, I just read where they have mobile clinics that they will be going out to communities to have clinics on a regular basis. And in order to help home health issues. And as I said, we're rather isolated out this way. And even we have 8 communities here on Standing Rock. And it's a chore to get to the clinics. There's a big transportation issue here. And if you can't get to the clinic, well, you'll just put it off till later. And the problem gets worse and worse, But if they had mobile clinics like some of those areas, I'm pretty sure we'd be able to address home health issues. But those are some of the changes that need to happen. You talk about evidence-based practices. Well, tribal community health works, traditional health works. There was a story of, there was a time when we as natives, we traveled this whole area, the great Oceti Sakowin, the great Sioux Nation. And we had trails all over this country, and to visit relatives and to do our ceremonies and to do our pledges. But today we have a lot of obstacles that block those trails. We have highways, we have pipelines, we have jurisdiction issues. There's a lot of ways that our former trails have been blocked. So we believe that our ancestors that used to help us along the way are having a very difficult time in finding us. And that's another addition to why we probably have the health conditions that we have today. So we need to concentrate on finding ways to revive a strong, respectful cadre of Lakota men and women, our youth, and help them. And one of the things is we may know them. They may be within our own families, our extended families, our communities, but we know them. And we may even be raising them. So as elders, we have a responsibility to give them the assistance and knowledge and encouragement to go ahead and do what they should be doing to help us all. Not every elder has a cell phone. Not every elder has a landline home phone, and not every elder has a computer. And I'm one of the lucky ones because my daughter gifted me a computer about 5 years ago, and I just what they call surf. I just get on and look at everything, and I could spend days on that. One of the biggest issues we had back when I started with tribal health, and including today, is cultural sensitivity and how to deal with Native people. You just don't go to somebody's house and say, hi, I'm John. I'm from Tribal Health, and I'm here to pump you full of sunshine and fresh air and heal you. It just doesn't work that way. If you go and visit a family, a lot of times it's all introductions or it's all conversation to find out, how you are, how they are, how's the family, where have you been lately, and it's all small talk to I guess set the scene. The other one is if you're new, those elders would want to know who your parents are and who your grandparents are, who your great grandparents are, just so they can fit you into their particular framework to identify you. And once you get identified, then you have a whole lot of trust and confidence from them. And but that always isn't always the case. We still have a rather large need for community or cultural sensitivity. One of the and we recognized that quite a while back. And again, story time. we had a young guy. He's in his 30s, and he was diabetic. And he went to one of our hospitals in Bismarck, and he was getting ready to have a shunt put in his arm so they can hook him up to dialysis. And with Indians, family is important. So he went to the hospital, and even though it might have been overnight, his family went with him. And we do have large families here. We have our own immediate family. We have extended families. We have hunka or adopted families. So they all went. They waited in the waiting room. And up on the floor, there was other waiting rooms. So that was full of Indians too. Finally, security came. And they told him, there's too many of you, and you have to leave. So if his family was going to leave, then he left too. And he didn't last too much longer after that. He passed away from complications for his diabetes. But that kind of insensitivity. So one hospital, and I don't mind telling because I was part of it. We had our sessions with the staff at St. Alexis Hospital in Bismarck. As a result, they dedicated a meditation room in which it was soundproof, so you could have singing, you could have drumming. It had its own separate ventilation system, and you could burn sage and cedar and sweetgrass and what have you, and it wouldn't permeate the hospital. And even one of our own tribal leaders did a stained glass entryway to that meditation room. So they took our words to heart. They made a meditation room. And as far as I know, that's the only hospital in the area that has done that. And it isn't just for Native people. All other minorities that have ceremonies of their own that they want to do there, they're allowed to do that. So what happened later is those that we initially met to talk about cultural sensitivity, they all moved on. and there's a whole new core of individuals that have a difficult time in dealing with Native people and are very impatient. And those times when I go up to register to check in, you know, they have to have all your insurance papers and cards and all that. And I have a difficult time, and I'm very glad that my wife goes with me and she handles all of that. So she's a very good advocate, and we get our business done. The other one is transportation. I had knee replacement, and which went fine. I'm still very mobile, but they were prescribing physical therapy 3 times a week, and there's no way that I was going to make that 170-mile round trip to Bismarck 3 times a week. So I told him, well, do you have a booklet? Do you have a binder that tells me all the exercises I need to do, and I'll do it at home? And so that's what happens. But that's not always the case with others. You know, they have a very difficult time finding their way from their communities to 48s, or even a harder time finding their way all the way to Bismarck. So transportation is a very, very big issue. We need to partner, I guess, with our own tribal transportation system, how to get people up there. And it may be one person, but we need to find ways to get them on a bus or a van or something that's going to Bismarck every day. And if you're young and you're not on Medicare or Medicaid, you still have to pay your way. Those elders with Medicare and Medicaid, they have to have a whole mechanism, I guess, to sign up and give their card number and where they'll pick them up and take them and bring them back. And that in itself is a very, very chore, because the bus will leave 48's about 8:30, and it'll leave Bismarck at 2:30. And if your appointment is late afternoon, then you missed the bus. And we used to have to find a way to go up and get them and bring them home when I was working with tribal health. So transportation was also a big factor there. We need a core of community health people that go out to our own communities. And I'm pretty sure every tribe in North Dakota or across the nation need a core of Native people to become home healthcare advocates. And again, there's a way. There's to talk to your community people, your elders. One of the ways is for those that are really ill or mourning or whatever problem they may be having. It isn't always communication. It isn't always talking. We have an expression in Lakota, it's called wokigina. And all that means is that you are there. You provide comfort. You're just there, and they realize that. And if they want, they'll open up, they'll talk with you, but at least you're there. And some of our women will cook a meal for them, because a lot of times you're at your lowest. You really don't want to eat sometimes. Maybe they'll wash their dishes or clean their house for them or wash laundry. But you're there, you're providing comfort. And a lot of times nothing has to be said. When they're ready, they will talk to you. And when I was with Tribal Community Health, a lot of our staff were fluent in our language. So they would talk to them in their language that they would be able to express better what their feelings were rather than English. And that seemed to work for a long time. And it's still working. Even though I'm not there anymore, I'm sure that those that are still with the program are still applying their unique brand of communicating with their community and tribal elders. And but we need new people. And as I said before, we need to, we as elders, we need to develop and work with a new core of young people. We need, as Wakish said, we need to help new leaders come. Again, in Lakota, there's an expression that he wakaske yuzaki ake agli. As leaders, they will return as a group. And looking around today for those that are getting their education, our highly educated youth. In years past, our tribe used to say, go to school and come back and help your people. And when they went to school and found out that there's more money outside, they stayed out there and never returned. But we have new leaders that are growing up amongst us, and we need to help find some way to do all of that. But we have our own ways of talking to our youth, to our people, and I'm just gonna say a few. There's an expression called "unshichia na okichia umpi," and that means to take care of each other and to help each other, and without compensation. And that's a big factor here. But of lately, again, with COVID coming around, we haven't been able to be out there and reaching our elders that like we used to do. For some of our the other one, when you're making changes, we were thinking that we have a lot of new agers, when you're talking about dealing with tribal traditional people in helping to assist, you need to know who they are. And of lately, all of a sudden everybody wants to be a medicine man. But we have a lot of New Agers who feel that they can sign up online and become shaman. We have others that just go out and do. But we need to start recognizing our own traditional healers around our reservation. And that's kind of difficult to do in that it's personal. You know, we may know who they are, and they're not well publicized, I guess. So if we're going to need somebody to work with elders, we need to definitely develop them and have them accepted and recognized by hospitals and doctors, and not to compete or to be looked at as somebody who's uneducated. Or we need to have them work together for the betterment of the individual. As I said before, I like to tell stories. One of the things it's commonplace amongst us to share stories, spiritual stories, and I'd like to maybe close my presentation here by telling of my particular vision quest. And like I said before, 1963, my grandparents had me do this. 15 years before we were legally allowed to practice, we were still doing that. But my story is that my two grandfathers took me and left me on a hill, and they said, "We'll be back in 4 days." So there I was out in the middle of nowhere, 1963. I was 14 years old, and I did have my vision. I did have visitors, and in this particular one morning, I was laying under my blankets. I had my pipe in my arms, and something jumped on my blanket. On all four corners of my blanket, something jumped. So I lifted the covers out, and I saw these brown legs, brown hairy legs walking past. And all I could think of was a spider, brown hairy legs walking past. So I sat up, threw the covers back, I sat up, and off to the distance was a female coyote. And if you ever heard a coyote howl, she sang to me. And her words were, "Mitakuye iktapelo wana, taku wa kawa ulo." She said, "My friend, it's time to wake up now. Something sacred is coming." So I got up and I stood and faced the east, and I was waiting for that sacred thing to happen. I fully expected to see maybe 2 rainbows in the sky, or I was expecting a big booming voice to come out and say something, but nothing happened. Taku wa kawa ulo, taku yotokche wa ulo. Something sacred is coming. A big change is coming. and I didn't see anything. And later, as I made my travels around the world and around this country here, and then after coming back, I fully understood many years later as an adult that indeed uh, something sacred happens. So every day the sun rises, every day is a new day, every day you're going to meet different people. Um, Everything changes. And today I see that. There's a big change coming, um, especially with our health. You know, we got politics to deal with, and we got personal problems to deal with. But in this case, it's with health and culture. And so there's big changes coming. So I'm glad to be a part of that. I'm glad to see that with our youth as leaders. And I believe that they're on this panel here too.